Forget everything you think you know about the Bronze Age. We're looking at 5 ancient megalithic walls that are so huge and so complex, they make the Great Wall of China look like a weekend DIY project. These are the 5 most massive, unexplained walls on Earth, and the secrets they're hiding might just change history.
The Gates of Alexander. In a forgotten corner of southern Russia, a massive stone wall cuts through a modern city, marching from the mountains to the sea. Beneath it lies a secret older than empires, a gate once thought to hold back the end of the world. Some say Alexander the Great built it to seal off monstrous tribes foretold in prophecy. Others believe it marks the line between civilization and chaos. But here in Derbent, the so-called Gates of Alexander are not myth, they are real. They're colossal, and they still stand. Derbent, known in Persian as Derbent, the closed gate, the city straddles the narrowest corridor between the Caucasus Mountains and the Caspian Sea, a natural bottleneck less than 2 miles wide. It was one of the only viable paths through which the steppe nomads of Eurasia could descend into the rich land of the Middle East. Empires saw this strip of land as either a dagger pointed south or a shield. To block it, the Sasanian Empire built one of the largest defensive systems outside of China in the 6th century, the fortifications of Derbent. The core of this system was the Naran Kala citadel perched above the city. From here, twin stone walls up to 65 feet high and nearly 13 feet thick over 2 miles to the sea, sealing the pass. A third wall continued another 25 miles west into the mountains, connecting fortresses, towers, and ditches in what was called the Caspian Gates. It was quite literally a wall between worlds. But Derbent was more than a military outpost. It came to be known in Arabic as Bab al-Abwab, Gate of Gates. And in some medieval Islamic traditions, this was identified with the place where Alexander built his wall to confine the apocalyptic tribes of Gog and Magog. These tribes, dog-headed, flesh-eating, monstrous, were believed to be sealed behind a supernatural barrier until the end of days. Christian, Jewish, and Islamic texts alike prophesies the return as a harbinger of judgment. The Quran even includes the tale where the Islamic version of Alexander, Dukharn, or the two-horned one, builds a wall of iron and molten copper between 2 mountains. In Derbent, the myth and the stone coexisted. Medieval writers mapped these legends onto the very real fortifications, helped to repel nomad invaders like the Huns, Turks, and Mongols, groups who, to those living in terror of their raids, were Gog and Magog. The Derbents weren't just legend, they worked. Over the centuries, they held back waves of invaders. The Romans even paid tributes of gold to support them. The Arabs called Derbent the greatest frontier. Even when the walls fell, they slowed down what came after long enough for empires to brace for impact. From the Scythians in antiquity to the Mongols in the 13th century, and even the Nazis and Soviets in the 20th, the Caspian Gate shaped Eurasian history. The city beneath the fortress, inhabited since at least 800 BCE, remained the northern limit of the empire for nearly 2 millennia. Today, the Gates of Alexander still stand in Derbent, UNESCO protected, weathered by time, but unbroken. We now know Alexander likely did not build them, but perhaps it doesn't matter. These walls, born of stone and fear, held back what empires feared most, not just invaders, but the idea that civilization could end.
In 1392, a single wall in Datong, China, was built so massive, 150 feet long, 26 feet high, that Ming officials quietly questioned whether a prince was imitating the emperor. Yet this wall wasn't connected to anything, nor was it just decoration. It was a barrier against something unseen. But against what exactly? For over 3,000 years, Chinese builders constructed walls where none were needed. Shaoyi, these spirit walls, weren't defensive. They weren't even part of the house. They were free-standing barriers placed just inside or just outside the main gate. They blocked your view, but more importantly, they blocked evil. In ancient Chinese cosmology, spirits moved in straight lines. A wall placed precisely in their path would turn them back. Shadow on clay, spirit defeated by reflection. The earliest known example comes from Fangxi in today's Shanxi province. Built in the 12th century BCE, it was 16 feet wide and made of compacted dirt, and even then, it stood before a royal gate. But no spirit wall is as colossal or as mysterious as the 9-dragon screen in Datong. Constructed in 1392 for Prince Zhu Gui, son of the founding Ming emperor, it once stood before a massive palace complex, a walled city within a walled city. That palace burned to the ground in 1644. The wall survived. Every inch of the 6.5-foot thick wall is covered in luminous glazed tile, 426 pieces in all, crafted in 5 colors: azure, green, purple, black, and imperial yellow. Its centerpiece is a yellow dragon in frontal pose, clutching the flaming pearl of enlightenment. Around it, 8 others twist and curl through waves, clouds, and fire. All of them bear 4 claws, not 5, a subtle nod to status. In Ming China, 5-claw dragons were reserved for the emperor alone. This wasn't just art, it was coded power. It told every visitor that the Prince of Dai was second only to the Son of Heaven. Shaohui weren't purely decorative, their placement was ritual. According to the philosopher Xin Shi, emperors placed screens outside their gates so they wouldn't gloat over the lands they ruled. Vassals placed them inside so no one would see their wealth. But Datong's dragon wall was built before the gate, and it dwarfed it. It didn't just block the view, it was the view. Beneath the main dragons, the base is carved with 41 panels of 2 dragons, and above them runs a band of 75 smaller tiles showing animals, dogs, deer, rabbits, and more. Together they form a cosmological hierarchy, heavens above, earth below, all ruled by dragons. And at the center, the flaming pearl, the symbol of divine wisdom, spiritual energy, and the eternal search for truth. This wall, this strange, oversized screen meant to hide everything, is now the last surviving piece of the Datong prince's palace. It has outlived emperors. It resisted war, fire, and urban sprawl, and still it stands, silent, massive, unreadable. A monument not to defense, but to mystery. Who was really meant to see it, and what spirit has it been holding back for 600 years?
Emperor Romanos had filled derelict ships with Greek fire and set the trap. Hundreds of Viking-style longships were torched. Survivors jumped into the sea only to drown or be captured. In 1204, the chain was breached. Crusaders from Venice rammed it with reinforced ships. All night, Strong stormed the Galata Tower, anchoring the northern end. Once broken, the invaders ended the Horn and sacked the city from its weakest walls. Constantinople never fully recovered, but one tale survives because it shouldn't be true. In the 11th century, Harald Hardrada, Viking mercenary, future king of Norway, and commander of the Varangian Guard, fled the city after falling out with the emperor. His ship was trapped behind the chain. According to Norse saga, he ordered his men to run to the stern, raising the bow high. Then, with a thunderous charge, they rushed forward. The longship rocked forward, slammed down over the chain, and skidded free. It's an absurd image, yet medieval chroniclers swore it happened. Maybe it's myth, maybe it's what Viking mercenaries wanted to believe they could do. Either way, it speaks to the scale of the chain that it became the stuff of legend. By the spring of 1453, Sultan Mehmed II had thrown everything he had at the chain and failed. Even with 300 war galleys, cannon fire, and siege engines, he couldn't break it. The iron boom held. Twice he tried to ram it, twice he was repelled. Then, on April 22nd, he did the impossible. In a single night, 70 Ottoman ships were dragged over a 200-foot hill behind Galata. Greased logs served as rails. By dawn, they floated inside the Golden Horn, past the chain. The defenders were surrounded, and 37 days later, the city fell. After the fall, the chain was stored in the church of Hagia Irene, then cut and distributed to museums. The largest surviving links are 2 feet long and weigh 33 pounds, but these were likely stabilizers, not the massive primary links described by eyewitnesses. For 738 years, the Great Chain guarded the harbor. In all that time, it was only breached a handful of times. Most attackers never even tried. Its true power, psychological, a warning stretching across the water. Enter here and you will burn. Gate of the Gods. On the windswept plateau of southern Peru, near the sacred waters of Lake Titicaca, stands an ancient anomaly, a aramumuru, cut directly into a red sandstone cliff more than 12,000 feet above sea level. The structure measures 23 feet tall by 22 feet wide, with a T-shaped niche at its center, just large enough for a man to stand. There is no chamber behind it, no passage, just a doorway carved into solid mountain. But legends say it opens. Locals now call it Puerta de los Dioses, Gate of the Gods. For centuries, they avoided it. According to their oral traditions, shamans who entered the niche could slip into the manga, the underworld, or emerge in Araya Pacha, the celestial plane. Uninvited, one's soul might never return. In 1996, José Luis Delgado Mañi, a local guide, claimed he had rediscovered the site after being guided by recurring dreams of, quote, a doorway in the rock. The structure was not marked on any archaeological survey, but its precision was undeniable. 2 vertical grooves flanked the central recess, as if once holding some now vanished mechanism. And at the heart of the niche, a shallow, circular depression just the right size to fit something round. According to legend, that's where Aramumuru, an Inca priest, placed the golden sun disk, a sacred object from the Coricancha temple in Cusco. Fleeing the Spanish in the 16th century, he came here with the artifact, said to hold the power of the gods. The disc was slotted into the stone. A blue light filled the doorway. The priest stepped through and was never seen again. Some say it was a stargate, a portal to another dimension. Others claim the disc was a technological relic from a lost civilization or something extraterrestrial. Visitors today report dizziness, strange dreams, visions. Some feel their bodies vibrate when they press their foreheads to the stone. Mainstream archaeologists cautiously linked the structure to the Tiwanaku culture. Builders of the nearby megalithic city of the same name were active around 200 to 1000 AD. But no tools, no pottery, no bones have ever been found at the site, and the carving style doesn't quite match known Tiwanaku or Inca methods. In other words, Aramumuru doesn't fit the timeline or the map, and yet it exists just in the cliffs above Lake Titicaca, a region long considered the navel of the world in Andean cosmology, a place where Viracocha, the creator god, is said to have emerged from the lake to bring light to the world. So the question remains, who carved Aramumuru and what was it for? Was it a symbolic altar, a hidden entrance, or something far more dangerous, a giant doorway to another world? The Great Wall of Gorgan. Built with an estimated 200 million bricks, Iran's Great Wall of Gorgan vanishes into the mountains and into history. Not one ancient text mentions it, and yet some believe this forgotten frontier may be the original Gate of Alexander. Stretching around 121 miles across the narrow corridor between the Caspian Sea and the Alborz Mountains, it was one of the largest brick structures of the ancient world. Locals called it the Red Snake. Its fire-colored bricks cut across the Galveston Plains, a rich agricultural area once called Herculean, or Land of Wolves. Here, in the late 5th or 6th century AD, the Sasanian Empire drew a literal line in the sand. While the Western Roman Empire collapsed, Persian engineers were pouring their wealth into this wall. To the north, the steppelands overflowed with raiders, the Hephthalites, or White Huns, horse lords with no written language, no clear origin, and no mercy. Their target was always the same: Persia's lust breadbasket. Unlike China's Great Wall, which took centuries to standardize, Gorgan's wall was planned as a uniform barrier from the start, roughly 33 feet wide and 10 feet high, built with identical bricks, each about 16 by 16 by 4 inches. Beneath the wall ran a system of canals engineered to feed the construction machine. A main channel at least 16 feet deep, fed by small feeders, carried water to mobile kilns and fired tens of millions of bricks and filled a defensive ditch running alongside the wall like a second barrier of earth and water. Along this line, the kilns formed an industrial belt. Thousands of brick ovens and ancient production line march into the horizon. 30 to 40 garrison forts suggest an army of between 15 and 36,000 men. In one fort, archaeologists unearthed barracks over 750 feet long, built for war, not comfort. Thick mud walls, no hearths, few personal items. Their diet? Beef, mutton, deer, bread, grapes, and gasping fish. Their mission was simple: hold the line. But here's the strangest part. No ancient writer mentions any of this. No coins, no inscriptions, no imperial decree. It was only with satellite imagery that archaeologists even began to grasp its full extent. Today, much of it lies buried, its bricks quarried into local buildings. And yet, stories persist. Islamic scholars and local traditions have long pointed to this region and suggested that the barrier here is the real gate of Alexander. After roughly 2 centuries of heavy use, the wall was abandoned as Arab armies advanced from the south and west, and the Sasanian state collapsed. The garrisons moved away, the canal silted up, and the Red Snake went still. The real story of its construction, its fall, and its possible link to Alexander's mythical gates remains locked behind 121 miles of red earth. A wall built to keep enemies out has kept its own secrets in. Which of these 5 walls do you think was really guarding the strangest enemy? And what do you think it was actually keeping out? Let me know in the comments. As always,
Thank you for watching Unrevealed Secrets. Like and subscribe to continue exploring the greatest mysteries of this world and beyond.